What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy, Steelers NFL Draft Countdown. We are winding down. This is actually our last pre-draft episode today, prior to, of course, the NFL Draft this upcoming weekend. We've had some fantastic prospects grace our screen so far, and we're excited for yet another one today. We'll tell you about him in just a second, but first, have to thank our wonderful sponsors over at Steel City Wheelhouse. Tires, of course, for all shapes and sizes, cars, trucks, scooters, probably too. Who the heck knows? Where the bar is set, Steel City Wheelhouse. Find them at steelcitywheelhouse.com. Financing is also available. Make sure you're following us, of course, on Twitter at SickPodSteelers. Subscribe as well on our YouTube channel. For Anello, Sammy, you guys go ahead, take it off, and let's do this.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast.
Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, I mentioned it's our last pre-draft special. And for you guys, we found our way to a little bit of the luck of the Irish today. We're excited to welcome in Notre Dame offensive lineman, soon to be NFL superstar Blake Fisher. Blake, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
Man? Appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you for jumping on. We're really excited. This is one of the biggest weeks of your life, of course. So thanks for spending a few minutes with us. I guess just the first question is, what has this process been like for you? Obviously, this is something you could have probably never predicted. You've never done it before. So what's the last handful of months been like?
Yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind. I mean, you go from like the combine, you got like a week and a half right before pro day, then you got pro day, then you got like private workouts, and then you got 30 visits, so you're just all across the country. So it's pretty crazy. Like, you don't like really know what to expect. Like, you're in airports, out of airports, and meetings with a whole bunch of different people, trying to remember names and stuff. So it's pretty chaotic.
You're probably pretty happy all that's over with. Not that you were not excited to go through it, but you're probably just like, all right, deep breath time.
Yeah. Being in the air so much, like the jet lag, and then like the different time zones and stuff like that, it's kind of crazy.
Was it like the most traveling you've ever done? I mean, outside of just playing games?
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. No question about it. Well, speaking of playing games, I want to talk about your career at Notre Dame a little bit before we get into draft stuff. 25 starts the last few years, super experienced, and obviously very talented. You guys had one of the most prolific offenses in school history. I think I saw last year second in school history, about 40 points per game there at Notre Dame. What led to that success, man? What kind of things can you attribute that to?
Yeah, I mean, we had a really good coaching staff. A lot of people bought into what the coaches were teaching us, and a lot of people were being developed, at a really high level. And then on top of that, I feel like everybody was preparing at a really high level to be at their best, and when their moment, when their number was called, to go make that big play, it occurred. So it was really just the camaraderie of all of us, together as a team, and us just being able to execute the game plan.
We're hanging out with Blake Fisher here on the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. I saw your running back, Audric Estime, did an interview the other day, and he accredited you and Joe, and obviously the rest of the line, for a lot of his success. He said, we had the best offensive line in college football. I'm assuming that's how you felt.
100%.
Tell me about Joe Alt a little bit, man. For you guys to be bookends and both obviously going to be playing in the NFL, what was your relationship like?
Yeah, well, me and Joe came in together. So, like, it was a little different at first. We came in, it was like COVID. I early enrolled. He came in the summer. So, like, I had already had a semester there, and then he, like, kind of came late. So, like, I was close with, like, Rocco and, like, Caleb Johnson was, like, another person that was in our class. And then once Joe got there, we all gelled. And then I ended up getting hurt my freshman year, and then Joe stepped in, flourished. Then I went to right tackle. And then ever since then, we were the bookend. So being able to come in together and then kind of leave together, it was a blessing. I mean, just a credit to the coaches that we've had there to be able to develop us into the players that we are today. And, I mean, that's my guy. That's my dog. We do everything together. We were roommates at the combine. So It was great overall to be able to be a teammate of Joe's.
It's interesting, Blake. It sounds like at first you guys were competitors. You're both battling for left tackle, right? So you
Right? Yeah,
probably, I mean, you're still cool, but you're going in with the mindset like I got to beat this guy out. And
yeah,
before you
yeah,
know it, you're playing, cohesively on the same line
for sure.
for a powerhouse team. So that's really cool, man. It'll be great to hear both your names called. That's for sure. All right, let's transition to the black and gold side of things, where the Steelers specific side over here.
Yeah,
Obviously, you've probably heard by now that if we are a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, it's not people in just Pittsburgh that are listening. You got people in
yeah,
Australia and Great Britain and Ireland, right? So we like to think of ourselves as a national channel over here, that's for sure. You start with a first combine meet, or start with your first meeting with them is at the combine, I should say.
yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was a juiced meeting. The energy was, very, alive. Coach Tomlin, being the way he is, he's an upbeat coach, has an upbeat tempo. Everybody that was in there, from an offensive, line standpoint, there's 3 offensive line coaches that they have there. And then, to Mr. Khan, Omar Khan, their GM. It's a good organization there. It was a really good meeting as well.
I love that. A juiced meeting. That sounds like a different way to describe a meeting, that's for sure. A lot of people, maybe a bit more reserved in a meeting. It sounds like you guys were amped up, excited, and getting to know each other's personalities a little bit, for sure. And that worked because Pittsburgh liked you so much, they invited you to the Steel City
Right.
just about a week ago, April 10th. You come in for a top 30 visit to Pittsburgh. What was that like for you?
Yeah, no, Pittsburgh was beautiful. I have a lot of offensive linemen from Notre Dame that are from PA, and it's just it's cool to kind of see what they talk about. They always say like the best offensive lineman come out of PA. I'm like whatever, but it was beautiful. And then the organization, being able to meet everybody there, it was phenomenal.
Is there anything that stood out? Did you meet Arthur Smith? Were there players? Was there anything that stood out?
Yeah. No, I mean, I had a really good, meeting with the offensive line coaches. Went over some film, and then, just them getting to know me a little bit more. Good meeting, with Coach Tomlin and Omar, and then, just being able to, I kind of had a quick conversation with the owner as well, so it was sweet.
Wow, you met Mr. Rooney.
Yeah, yes,
Good.
sir.
That's awesome. Was there anything outside of football related that you did? Like, did you check out the incline? Did you get some good dinner? Like, what were you doing in the Berg?
Yeah,
I know you didn't have much time. You're traveling everywhere.
Right. Yeah, no, I can't really remember if we went to dinner. I don't think we went to dinner. Just because it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would just continue to say like the visit was great. It was
Sure.
phenomenal.
So I want to talk a little bit about just the Steelers' history and culture. You grew up in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So you weren't too far removed from Northeast football. How familiar are you just with the rich tradition, kind of the culture? And I feel like in a lot of ways it could be similar to Notre Dame with the tradition. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. No, for sure. I would definitely say, like, I got to be honest, I was born in 2003. So, I kind of started getting into football around 2010, really getting into it, when I'm like 7. So the farthest I go back is the linebacker, the crazy linebacker with the long hair, Palomalo,
Yeah.
and Le'Veon Bell. Like those are my 2. When I think of Steelers, like Ben Roethlisberger, like those are the guys like AB, like Antonio Brown. Like, those are the guys I think of.
Yeah, I'm not that much older than you. I think about the same guys, to be honest. That's definitely, listen, and for Steelers fans, the 90s are mostly forgettable anyway. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and that's at least what all my parents tell me. So we'll choose to remember the Big Ben, AB, and Lev years, because those were some excellent teams, no doubt about it, and building some great stuff now. I want to talk to you a little bit about, we always like to ask our guests here for a scouting report on themselves a little bit. I don't want to put words in. Everybody does this, the draft analysts. Wait, I do it myself. Like, that's what we're paid to do, is to, sit down at the table and write scouting reports on players. But I like hearing it from you guys first. So give me strengths and then some things you're trying to work on, because that's the best scouting report we're going to get out there.
Yeah, nah. I say, some of the strengths within my game, obviously, to start high level, football IQ, smartness on the field, just fundamentally, technically sound, being able to make others around me better. And then I would just say, within the run game, just being physical, dominant, tight hands, being explosive off the line of scrimmage. And then, in the pass, just my variety, the way that I can get on guys, vertical set guys, kind of go in between. And then, just the mix-ups and stuff that I can do with my hands. I'm pretty dynamic, based on rushers as well, giving, rushers different things. So it's kind of a chess match. Obviously, some things, obviously we continue to work on is obviously those hands, just being, strong with the hands, understanding the angles and stuff that rushers are giving you to be able to throw the inside and really clamp on in the pass. And in the run, obviously tight hands and just being explosive, dominant, just being really, quick off the line of scrimmage, explosive off the line of scrimmage, and, hitting those landmarks.
You guys had such a good running game last year. I mean, I'd imagine it'd be pretty cool to block for a guy like Najee Harris,
No doubt.
Jalen Warren, a team that already has an established backfield. And the Steelers' identity has always been run the ball first. So I bet there's a big part of you that's like, not Steelers specific. I know you can't say some things, but that's like, man, I love a ground and pound football team.
No doubt. Yeah. And I love just coming off the ball because, like, everybody is dependent on you. And, like, even in the obvious runs, like, that's the best. Everybody in the stadium up at the top level looking over out the stadium know that you're running the ball. And you go run that thing and the running back breaks out for 30. Like, it's a beauty.
Yeah, you're speaking Pittsburgh language, that's for sure. Is there any players, and you were talking about some former Steelers, is there guys you model your game after, or have favorite players, or guys you look up to now or from the past?
For sure. Love watching Lane Johnson, Philly, Dion from Buffalo, Trent obviously from San Fran. And I would probably say, there's some youngins, right? Panay, Broad, Anton, Harrison.
Broad is in Broderick Jones?
Yeah, Broderick Jones.
Nice.
DeJuan, there's some really good, young tackles too. Trying to think, Tristan, Rashawn, like it's really some really good tackles out there, and then some, also some guys being developed. So it's fun. This offensive line play, like just being able to watch. I mean, I watch, obviously the top guys, but being able to see those up and coming guys, those techniques that they're using, and being taught, and then seeing them come to, the game, seeing it on the football field is really cool as well.
Yeah, talk about a fan of the game. You rattled off about 37 linemen there, who are all really good. But you absolutely you nailed that. That is really, really cool, man. I'm curious. Obviously, you played right tackle because of Joe over there at left. You think you can play both? I would imagine, right?
Yeah,
confident left and right. Have teams talked to you about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows that I'm versatile now.
Yeah.
It kind of took a little bit of time. Some people kind of knew coming out, he could play left, but he's predominantly right. And then, just kind of took training, getting back into that left-handed stance, which I had been in, pretty much for like 6-7 years, all of high school, first 2 years, first year and a half really of college. And then, at the combine, going, left-hand stance, pro day, showing left-hand stance, showing my explosiveness, tight hands, all the little things that you want to see. I'm a versatile player, so.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I got two more things for you before we let you go. Blake Fisher, kind enough to join us on the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy, the week of the draft. So we're not playing games over here. That's for sure. First of all, I want you to tell people one or two things that maybe they wouldn't know about you just from this interview. Some people would be interested to learn, maybe. Hobbies, music, food.
I would say I'm a big, mood feel guy. So going out, seeing a beautiful scenery, it's just the satisfaction of that, being in a different city, Pittsburgh at night was beautiful, going over the bridge and everything, it was beautiful. So it's architecture and stuff like that, nice, really photo pictures of different landscaping that behind the sun, stuff like that. I'm into that stuff. Play video games, my free time. I got a little French bulldog. Her name is Blue. She's got one
Frenchie.
Blue eye. Yeah, she's pretty exotic, so she's different.
That's great, man. Here's a fun fact for you. Pittsburgh has more bridges than any city in the entire world.
So
you already knew that.
They told me that.
You beat me to it. I'm sure you probably walk into Pittsburgh, and it's one of the first things they say. They're like, here's a catcher bottle, here's the Super Bowl trophies, and then here's our bridges in Skyline. But 4 pretty cool things to have. All right, man, last thing. Where are you watching the draft at? You can be with family. You can be with friends. Where are you going to be? Back home?
Yeah, I'll be back home with the family and friends, cousins, some church people. So
nice.
It'll be exciting.
This has been an exciting interview. It's been awesome to get to know you. We can't wait for people nationally to continue to get to know you. I'm sure a lot of people do already based on the pedigree, of course. But we tell everybody that we have on this show that no matter where you end up going, we're always a fan for life. That's for sure, man. So, Blake Fisher, appreciate you. Good luck.
Sure,
we'll be watching, all right?
Appreciate it.
Let's go. Thanks, Blake. See you, man. And great stuff. And that essentially wraps up our NFL draft previews prior to the draft. Now, we're going to have some guys on, of course, after the draft as well. So it doesn't stop when the last player is picked at Mr. Irrelevant. But for now, we're excited to bring you 4 or 5 guys we really enjoyed talking to. Blake Fisher, wow. This is a guy that I think has a chance to end up in black and gold. Really smart kid. You certainly were able to glean that. And a phenomenal football player as well. Mac Nicastro, Pitt offensive lineman. Check him out. We had him on the show a couple weeks back. Another guy I think the Steelers could be interested in. Chris Braswell, edge from Alabama. Very kind of Clutch Agency to hook us up with him recently as well. Guy who is extremely talented, early second-round pick there, and a guy who said he had some interesting conversations with the Steelers as well. Holy Cross receiver Jalen Coker, among others. So thanks for watching. If you have previously, if this is your first time watching us, go back in the channel, peep some more of those shows. Tell a friend, hit like, subscribe, and sit back and kick it for the NFL draft with us. I'm at Mic'd Up Sports 1 on Twitter. My co-host is not here today, at J York Football on Twitter. I'm sure I'll be breaking in live on Thursday on your feed at the Sick Podcast Steelers whenever the Steelers are close to on the clock, as long as it's not 3 a.m. But yeah, it's such an exciting week for me and everybody at the Sick team and everybody around the league of the NFL too. Is we brace for this thing for months and months, and then it comes and goes really quickly, but enjoy it while we still have it. That's for sure. And I enjoyed it a lot today having Blake Fisher on. Hopefully you did too. And we'll see if he ends up in black and gold. All right. For Jordan, who's not here, Sammy and Yellow up in the studio, and everybody around the world, like I said earlier, that watches the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy. Appreciate you. I'm Mike Nicastro. We are out. See you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.